Tony Tone.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Hy-Vee Today Show. This is Tony Tone. It's Friday, the 15th of May. Can you believe it already? We're here. It's so weird to think that a week from now we'll be heading into Memorial Day weekend. Have you thought about that, how quickly things are going by? It's good to be with you. It's a little overcast right now, but we've got the last day for this week that good-looking Hawkeye hauler truck, you can see it right there, is going to be in our parking lot until around 12 or 1 today. I love that truck. I didn't know that there was a football field painted on the roof of that semi-truck. Did you know that? Super cool. And I think that Jeep that just pulled up outside is getting some drive-up donuts. That's going on. The Hawkeye Hauler is here because we need donations for the food pantry at the Salvation Army. The red kettle is also here. Look at the size of that red kettle. That thing is fantastic. I knew it was going to be here, but it was a pleasant surprise a little bit when I got to work. I took this picture from my car. And the red kettle will be here for 3 days, and the Hawkeye hauler truck is going to move from our parking lot. I think what happens is the truck will leave. It'll go to the Salvation Army. They'll take all the food off of it, and then it'll go to Blaine's Farm and Fleet, and then the red kettle will stay here for 3 days, and the Hawkeye truck will come back to this store. I want to say it's sometime next week. So Tantera Transportation Corporation, it's awesome. You know, their story... They brought back drivers that were not working because of the pandemic. So they're paying drivers to staff the truck, and then we've even been utilizing some of their help inside the store putting together the prepackaged bags of food. So that's even like a double-edged good story for these guys. So it was their idea, along with Joey Krieger, to do this food drive. And then Dave Riggins like, you know what, I got these drivers. I want to get back to work. I want to get them back to work. So they're here and they're great. So we appreciate that. And again, the food pantry at the Salvation Army. You know, Greg Bach, Lieutenant Bach, shares some pictures of the food pantry being empty, and I think it's the right thing to do. How else are people supposed to know that you're in need? And if anything, it shows that you're giving the food that you're receiving, right? If you don't have any, you got to get more. And everything that's on that truck today is going to go to the Salvation Army, and it's going to go to people that need it. And we're not talking about a couple people. We're talking about like 600 to 1,000 people a week. I mean, that's a lot. I know that, you know, and that's the reality that we're in. So let's keep helping and doing the right thing. And so many people are. And if you've donated already, thank you for doing that. There's a lot of ways you can do it here at the store at the registry. You can add $5, $10, or $20 to your total. You can purchase a $20 prepackaged bag of food. Yesterday they told me, and this is true, Jeff Riggin told me yesterday, in that kettle, they have a little kettle by the truck, $3,000 donated. $3,000, just people. He said there was a business from Tipton, and I wish I knew the name of the business, that just donated a $1,000 check. So that's people doing the right thing. And that's a good story to share with you. And we want to be able to continue to feed people. I mean, it's really just that easy, in my opinion. Stephanie on Facebook says, good morning. I have a goodie bag for the food truck. I'll drop it off around 11:30. Thank you. That's fantastic. I appreciate you, Stephanie Hamilton, for doing that. And if you're watching, and if you miss an opportunity to give while the truck is here, again, it's going to go down the street to Farm and Fleet, and then it will be back here at Hy-Vee. Stay tuned for details on that. Last thing really quick, drive-up donuts going on right now outside the store. It's a fantastic deal. So many people. I got here at 7 right away. They're getting donuts. Had a guy pull up and just ask for one donut. Can't do one. I got half dozen or dozen. So, I mean, share with a friend or save them for the weekend, right? You're talking about 6 donuts for $5. And then they even told me that like a half a dozen glazed donuts they're selling for $3 and a full dozen glazed donuts for $7, and you don't have to get out of your car. So that's a good deal. They have breakfast sandwiches and coffee out there as well. So please keep that in mind. And hello to everybody that's watching. Becky Reese on Facebook. Megan Francis is out there. Our friend Judy Yates, Melissa Anderson, and everybody. I wish I could see like everybody that was watching. If you're watching live, just know that I appreciate you. Okay, let's get to our guest who's patiently waiting. We have 2 guests this morning, one at 8:30 and then one later. And our friend Pam Collins is here, who is the director of the Muscat Public Library. And I'm so glad that you came in. Thank you for being here.
I thought
this is awesome.
I've been here since 7:30 to make up.
Oh my gosh, you got here at 7:30?
I did not want to be late.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely fantastic. I was here. I didn't know. I would have got down here earlier.
Oh, that's okay. I did some shopping. I actually have a dozen donuts in my car to take to
Nice.
work.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I feel like, Pam, Musser Public Library, one of those places, like a lot of places that have been impacted by the pandemic, but you have done a good job and your team has done a great job. You've certainly been on top of things, and then with how you adapted and these curbside pickup offerings, you were kind of ahead of the pack, which is super cool. But in all of your years in working at various libraries, have you ever seen anything like this, like where you had to close? Because a library is one of those places that is always there. It's a communal place.
When I heard libriaries were starting to close, I was like, how can they close? We will never close. And then the next day I was like, I think we need to close. Yeah, it was a shock. It was very unsettling to close, and we're looking forward to reopening hopefully the 1st.
Okay, so June 1st is kind of the tentative target date to reopen. But what is so fascinating is that in the meanwhile, this plan that you put in place with curbside pickup, which is, so this started on May 4th, and I just hope that people, and I know people are taking advantage of it because I have several friends online that are loving it. But how long did that take to formulate? Because that's not something that you guys have ever done before, right?
No, we haven't done that before, and actually we were preparing to do it when we ended up closing completely to the public, and we weren't sure at that point what we wanted to do. So the minute we felt that things were going to continue for a while and we really needed to adapt services, we decided to reopen, and Bobby had already made all the plans with all the details, so we just refined it a little and went forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, it's a great thing to be able to do because people love the library and they've missed it.
Yes.
Because the library is so much, certainly, obviously, checking out books, movies, of course, but so much more. So even if you're just utilizing the library with curbside, that can give you that sense of normalcy.
Yes,
and that's okay.
It does. I think it really does give a sense of normalcy, and it has been important to quite a few people. Of course, we did buy numerous, very large orders of ebooks and audiobooks, and those have certainly picked up, and you can do that from home through our webpage. But there are people that like the books, and I like to read a physical book, and yeah, so we went ahead and did that.
It's interesting, isn't it? We live in such an age where you can grab a book on your phone, but there is something about that tangible nature. I'm with you. I like that. My wife can read on tablets and she'll read books, but there's something about holding something.
Yes.
So on your website, there is an FAQ portion, and this is kind of it, right? So this is a well thought out plan with respects to curbside usage of the Musser Public Library. And so it starts with folks obviously reserving the materials, correct?
Hopefully, if you have a library card, you can go to our webpage and put a hold on our materials. Right now, RiverShare is not cross-borrowing. We won't be doing that probably for a month after we open. But we have opened our book drop, so people can certainly drop off materials they've had at home. Everything's been extended, so due dates, don't worry about fines, anything like that.
Awesome.
If you haven't used the online catalog before, or you don't have a computer, you can just call us, and we'll get your books reserved for you. And then usually we ask you to give us a day to get those picked up in package. And to be honest, we weren't sure what our capacity was, so we had the fire department in. I don't have a report yet to know exactly what that is. But we will be having someone at the door counting. We do not have the ability to have going in one door, out another door. So that will be different. The main thing, though, we want people to understand is that whether you want to come into the library and browse or use the computers, that will definitely be available to people. But if you still want to be more cautious, are still distancing, we will continue with the contactless pickup. We will continue purchasing lots of e-materials. And we will continue our programs, even summer reading, so that they aren't bringing a lot of kids together.
Sure.
Do this, and then we'll look into what's on the table here. And
who's going to do a program on our Facebook, and we'll broadcast it a few times. It'll also be on Channel 5. Summer reading is going to heavily utilize Facebook and Channel 5, and you will not have to come in if you're worried about that.
Sure.
But so we're going to run both streams. The only negative thing about that for the public is we will not open with our normal hours.
Gotcha.
We're trying to have hours so that no matter what shift you work, there's a time that you can come in. If we don't have a time that you can come in, we encourage you to call us and we'll figure something out. But when we open, we will probably be open from 10 to 6 and then shortened weekend hours.
You know, it's so fascinating to me, the ability to create content from the library and put it out there, and whether it's like the Oh Baby lap sit, you know, so many people have enjoyed that.
We've
Isn't
had
that
so much
surprising,
fun.
though?
Well,
Because,
it
yes
did,
and
to
no.
be honest,
Yeah.
because Betty kept talking about it, because we had heard about this might be happening and
Sure.
things, and I have a good staff there, of course, big read us as we get going. And two is that not everybody has Wi-Fi.
Right.
Not everybody has the ability to watch, to use Facebook at home, and or they use it on their phone, and then that's a little tiny picture for you and your children to watch together, or
Sure.
even if you've got more than one child, or you don't want your child using their phone. So we decided we wanted to open it up, and most people that do have TV do get Channel 5, and we've had amazing response from that. And the really funny thing with that is I get all kinds of comments, everybody does, Betty too, and Julie, from people we never thought would watch it, older people.
Sure.
Older people are having a great time watching Lap Sit and some of these programs.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when we do film them live, we don't get to film everything live right now, but when we do, we get to respond to the kids very much like you did when you opened.
Yeah, isn't that nice to be able to interact, right?
Especially the kids love it, and they get to, Betty will ask, you know, what are some different expressions that you see, and their parents will type it in, and then we see that and they can respond to that.
Isn't that great?
That is so cool, and it really brings back that sense of normalcy, like when they did come to the library and go to those programs, and they see the people that they're used to, and they see part of the library, and they it brings some normalcy to a really crazy time.
Well, and I like the fact that the library can continue to evolve and go from, again, just a place you may have gone to get a book, to hosting a meeting or participating in some of the programming, and now that next step is that content creator, right? And having the ability to have content that is, you know, accessible live, or it's on demand. I mean, all of these programs live on the Munster Public Library Facebook page, and then certainly have that mirror on cable.
Yes.
It just makes sense, right? I mean, it's certainly different, right? You didn't get into the library business thinking you'd have to worry about, you know, hair and makeup for creating content, but
well,
at the
honestly,
same time,
we're the library. We don't worry about hair and makeup.
It's true, though. I mean, like, isn't it fascinating to think, Pam, how far the library as an entity have come? It's wild.
But to be honest, it also goes back with the programs. It does go back to the 70s, which was very popular. And some of you might remember Duffy DeFrancis and all the work she did on cable. The library used to be the cable contact for the community.
Sure.
And that's why I kept saying, oh, that's so 70s. We want to do something new and different. But in this case, new and different means going back. And that was a good tried and true way for the community to participate and have access. So as we might need to continue to look at distancing sometimes and that sort of thing, it's something we want to continue and make it an option for everyone.
And then at the same time, of course, people will be excited to hear about that targeted open date of June 1st.
Yes.
And my hope is that, just like with anything, people take precautions. A lot of this, you know, we have to put, you know, it's up to us to do the right thing. So certainly if you hear that the library is opening June 1st, take precautions. make good choices. But it'll just be great to be able for people that want to go in, to be able to go in.
It will.
Right? But
And
then
I
to continue the
can't tell you.
curbside, I think
Yes.
that's great. And that's a testament, not to interrupt, but your staff, has been asked to do so much and so many different things. And that's the point to make, I think, is that certainly the building has been closed, but people are still working.
Yeah, oh
right?
yes, people are still
Yeah.
working. We've been working the whole time, and most of us have been working in the building
Sure.
because the building is so large, and with 4
Right.
floors, a lot of us can work without having to worry about distancing
Sure.
and people contact. But it's funny because when we did start the curbside, I thought some people might be scared to go out.
Yeah.
But actually, they're arguing over who gets to have that shift because we miss our patron contact.
That's what I was going to say.
And we are
right?
so excited to open up and see people again,
Yeah.
and be a place where people can gather within reason.
Yeah.
That has been in our new building. That is such an amazing gift that so many people can gather and do so many different things. And we're very excited to bring that back now. I hate to say, but the meeting rooms will be a step down the road.
Sure.
But just to have people in the building.
Yeah.
And a lot of people rely on the library
Mm-hmm.
for some public contact. And I know at Hy-Vee you get
Sure.
that too.
Absolutely.
People come in and they want to be able
Johnny,
to chat.
what's
Oh.
happening?
Bush Light beer brat.
Wait, what?
We got a Bush Light beer brat right there, Tony.
Oh
Give
my
it a shot
gosh.
here. I just grilled it up. It's really good. Give it a
Holy
shot. Let
moly.
me know you like it.
Captain John with the beer. Wait, the Bush. This is the Bush.
Bush Light beer brat.
Okay, so this is a thing, a Bush Light beer. But I love a Captain John drop-in. This is fantastic.
There we
So
go.
you cooked this for us right now?
Yeah, just grilled it up. I figured we'd give it a shot, see how you like it.
Wow. Thanks, man. I appreciate
I'll
that.
try it right now if you guys want.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
for it.
Pam.
Oh
what do you
yeah, I'm
think?
definitely.
Yeah,
I
gonna-
love beer brats.
And
I have to be honest though. I buy the ones that already say
Yeah.
beer. They just don't say Bush Light. And then I
well, we've
go.
had the Budweiser
yeah.
and the Goose Island and a few other
See,
ones.
that's what I
so-
do. Then I go to the
Look at that.
alcohol department and I
Yeah.
try a different beer.
Oh, to pair with it.
well,
right?
to cook it in
Oh,
as well
that's a
as
good
to pair
idea.
with it. Yes.
John, so what do you think? You ever think you'd have a Bush Light beer brought back there?
No, not at all. We've had Budweiser and Goose Island,
Yeah.
but first time for a Bush, so it's
Absolutely wild. Well,
So I feel less guilty having a light beer brat.
that's
There you
right.
go.
Yeah.
more calorie conscious.
That's
there, guys.
right. That is awesome. Thanks, man. How are things?
those are good.
How are
Things
things in
going good.
seafood?
Things are going good. Stop over. I just got fresh halibut in today, and crab legs are restocked. We got lobster tails and a bunch of good stuff.
I love it.
And the Bush beer brat.
That is really good. That brat is fantastic. I wish I could have a brat for breakfast every day. I'd be okay with that.
It's
Memorial
kind
Day
of
just around the
it does
corner.
seem
Yeah.
like a breakfast meets a sausage.
Yeah, it is a breakfast. Bush
I've done
Light.
brats for breakfast before. I
Really?
mean, yeah, do it with some eggs and stuff like that. Why not? Come on,
Why
guys.
not? Absolutely. Thanks, man. I
not-
appreciate
I'm
it.
not
Thank you.
cooking mine
Me too.
again. I'm coming here because
Yeah,
the
well, the
grilled
best part-
adds so much
I was gonna
taste
say,
to it.
and the best part, John, he loves doing stuff like that. Like,
That's amazing.
People buy
That's
lobsters,
really
he
good.
preps the whole thing. Okay, so that's good. That's a walk-on Bush Light beer brat. Fantastic. Will you have Bush Light beer brats at the Most Public Library?
No, but we do allow food in
Yeah.
a particular area on the first floor.
Sure.
And of course, we have to allow coffee.
Right.
It's just
Have to.
goes.
Have
I mean,
to.
you can't read a book without coffee, but we do request lids.
Yeah.
Coffee, anything soda, coffee, water, as
Yeah.
long as you got a lid.
Is that true that you have to have coffee to read a book? Is that the,
I think tea or coffee
Okay,
is
okay.
really you don't have to have it,
Yeah.
but it really just complements it. It just makes the experience.
No, I love it. I'm going to start coffee for my 5-year-old and see if he can get more energy because that's what he needs.
Be careful, because my nephews did that. My nephews
Yeah?
grew up on coffee.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. My 5-year-old.
Yeah, well,
he's good enough. But
my,
it is.
my family is known for a few rules.
I appreciate how the Most Public Library has handled this pandemic. It's certainly been challenging. And yeah, I love that to hear, Pam, that your staff is fighting, play fighting over who gets to take out curbside materials. Because there is such a strong and unique relationship between the library staff and the community. I saw Betty in the store the other day, and I was just like, hi! Like, I haven't seen her in so long. And I saw Julie not too long ago, and it was the same thing. It was like this visceral, like, hi! Like, how are you? And then I forgot I was at work, and I was very loud. But I think that's just a testament to the work that yourself and your staff have done and will continue to do And the thing for me with this whole thing is just perspective.
Yes.
And that in a year from now or 2 years from now, when we're past all of this and it's back to business as usual or as close to it as possible, that we just remember how we got through this time and how the library had to evolve. And, you know,
and we
the lessons
will,
we've learned.
we're definitely going to continue that. But also what we're going to do as we're looking to the school year is work more closely with other agencies, particularly the schools, because it's going to be obviously a very different school year for them as well. And we hope to do a lot more partnering to keep kids reading and make it as convenient and easy as possible.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Musser Public Library wants you to know, available for curbside, so please go to musserpubliclibrary.org on social media, and then again, targeting to reopen the doors on June 1st.
And may I make one other comment?
Please, yes.
Homebound Delivery. We are starting Homebound Delivery again, and if you are not on our Homebound list but would like to be, please call the library. We are not requiring, during this period, we are not going to require any medical reason or anything other than the fact that you want to socially distant. We will not be able to chat with you except on the phone because it'll be like a drop off at the door.
Gotcha.
And of course, right now we aren't in any of the assisted living or the nursing homes. But if you're at home and you feel that is the way you'd like to receive service, just call us.
Well, that's fantastic. And please keep up the good work. And let me know if you need any beer brought delivered.
I might add that to my
Curbside.
donuts.
Busch Light curbside, also an option, maybe.
That doesn't count
Busch
as
Light
drinking at
brats.
work, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it's all cooked off. Yeah, it's fine. All right, let's go CBI Bank and Trust ILCAM, and please go to musserpubliclibrary.org and follow them on social media to stay connected with everything that's happening at the Musser Public Library. Good look inside the store right now, just ahead of, like a minute ahead of 9 a.m. We're doing this live on Friday, May 15th. At Hy-Vee. This is Tony Tone. If you're joining us for the first time, my wife texting me saying that the house is clean. So that's somehow she managed to do that with 3 kids. I don't know how. Maybe the kids are watching the show right now. They're distracted. We're going to talk to our friend Nora Dwyer in just a moment. We're going to get her situated. But I love that. Look at how high up we are with that CBI Bank and Trust aisle camera. You can see clear across the store, including the back of the store, frozen department. And today and tomorrow, if it's in the frozen department, it's 10% off. Everything from frozen foods to ice creams to pizzas to vegetables. If it is frozen, it's 10% off. I know that we've got 80-degree weather coming in hot, literally, in the next week or so. So maybe this is a good opportunity for you to stock a freezer or something like that and save 10% off at the same time. You should absolutely do just that. I think Captain John dropping in with cooked brats is always a good idea. He could bring in some cooked halibut if he wants to. All right, our friend Nora Dwyer is here. And one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is folks that are needing a little bit of a helping hand during this time, and Nora has been right there on the front lines helping people that are food insecure, and it's great to see you.
Hey, you too.
Thanks for coming in. I feel like, you know, Nora, how long have you been connected with helping people in Muscatine?
Well, I've been affiliated with the food pantry. I was on their board for a period of time when it was still separate from MCSA.
Sure.
And then I helped coordinate the move from the county building over into MCSA. So that was probably 4 years ago, I guess, when everything really started and got involved in that.
And
so,
the demand now more than ever, I mean, has it, I don't want to say shocked you, because certainly we understand that people are going to need help, and then during a crisis it's only amplified.
Yeah.
But what's your perception been? Because there are a lot of people in our community. And my intent is when we have conversations like this for people that are watching, they might not even be aware of the volume of people that are being served from these various pantries, right?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is what the shift was. So we went from providing, either a walk-up pantry or drive-up pantry compared like with Salvation Army. And there are other pantries throughout the community too. School district is affiliated with Riverbend Food Bank as well. So what we've seen is this effort to deliver grocery bags, and then the meal is the other component to it. So we're up. I think we did 260. So we were really close. It dropped off a little bit.
Sure.
With things, but that's over 300 households.
Wow.
And we're still working with some of the data. This whole thing got put together and really tried to be, feet on the ground as quick as we could. So I think tracking everything, we're still working on, getting a better handle on who we're serving.
Sure.
What those households were or what those households are. Our initial focus was anybody over 60.
Gotcha.
Or who had an underlying condition. And would typically be someone who would come to our pantry. So,
sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me to watch, whether it be at MCSA and the lower level with the food pantry and the transition that was made there and giving people the power of choice, which is so incredible, and the people that are served there. Is it the same? So we're talking about downtown at MCSA, Salvation Army.
Matt's waving to us.
I'm
like, I'm seeing something. I'm
social distance. You stay right there. Okay. 6 feet away. That's perfect. I love it.
Same thing. I'm like,
so glad the door's not turned on, so it's not just like opening.
How do I get in here?
But
right? I'm sure you saw
like
me earlier. I was like, okay, well, how does this work?
I did not
Tony?
see you, but I'm so glad that he did that.
Matt's
so
a good guy.
you have folks downtown, folks on the south end, Salvation Army, and then certainly, to your point, with the school district's been able to do the Riverbend Mobile Food Bank. Muscatine isn't that big, but Nora, for some people, the same person, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the same person that can't make it downtown may be able to go to the community school district pantry or to the south end. And I think that that's also something that people maybe don't understand, is that folks in need may also not have the most reliable transportation to get the things that they need. And that's where, to your point about amplifying drop-off and deliveries, that's been so great. But I think that's just worth noting that, why do we need all these different places for people to go? Well, because some folks don't have any other ways or means to get to places like MCSA, right? Or to the south end.
And I think that's one of the things that this whole project has really identified is that what is the best way to provide these food resources to people, and where are they located?
Sure.
We have, I think Scott had mentioned when he was on the phone call that we've got a big group that we meet every week. We talk about what the needs are, and now we're getting folks from the Wilton School District, I think was on, some folks from the Wilton Durant Food Pantry had participated. So, and the cool thing about it, we're able to share resources, which I think we've done before, but this really has heightened that opportunity to say, where is the best place for all this extra bread to go to? Sure. We pick it up on Wednesday, and I don't have a distribution until Thursday.
Sure.
Let's get it to where people are. And I think access is going to be a big thing that we have to talk about, and transportation is one piece of it. And so that's, I think, where when we come out of this thing is we have to have some discussions about let's figure out maybe this is an opportunity to do things even better than we have before.
Sure.
And just working with all our partners has been pretty incredible experience.
What are you identifying? Because certainly the Hawkeye truck is here, and one of the things that Matt wanted to do with Hy-Vee was to allow customers at the end of a transaction, if you want to add 5, 10, 20 bucks, and then the thought was and also have a $20 pre-prepared bag of food as an option, which is like the heaviest bag I've ever lifted in my life.
It is.
Seen those things
I know. A
person.
couple of those, like, wow, this is incredible.
I like the idea, in addition to a large bag of food that's ready to go, something about being able to have a pool of resources, because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be something to be able
You're
to say.
You're never wrong, Tony. What do you mean?
we took a bunch of money that was donated, and this week we can get fresh eggs, or we can get milk. We can try and get some meat, because it seems like a lot of stuff that we're talking about is non-perishable. Not all the time. Certainly breads seem to be donated at a good amount, but what do you think about that? Like, if there's somebody watching that is feeling compelled to do something big, what could they do? What would make the most sense as far as what the needs are currently as of this week?
Well, I think your point about the perishable items is really valid, and the thing that is a little tricky is how do we store that,
right?
And how do we keep that food safe? And we have got a great grant from Bear Corporation where we have these. They're like those refrigeration cases that are down there, and so that allows us to use for produce that came in, especially in the summertime. Master gardeners did that. So that gives us a little bit of capacity. We had a huge donation early on from the Starbucks store out on the coast of Menards, and because they closed for a couple of weeks. So they had 140 gallons of milk.
Holy moly.
What do you do with that?
Wow.
And thankfully we had the storage, we had the capacity to do that. So we split that between, the two pantries, and we were able to use that for a week or so. Yeah.
And that's not something that's commonly available or readily available for folks, right?
Yes,
is that correct? So I mean,
exactly.
is that something, because I guess my thing is, like, if somebody's coming to get stuff for themselves at Hy-Vee and they're like, hey, maybe I could get an extra gallon of milk or eggs and drop it off at a place like MCSA, or I mean, would you like to know ahead of time?
Yeah,
I just don't want people to ever feel like inhibited on what they can get.
Right.
Because it'll go to a good place.
It will, but the hard part about that is, like, if they give it to us on Friday and we aren't open until Tuesday.
Gotcha.
We have to figure out where to store that. We have to make sure that there's somebody there who, because we have a limited staff.
Sure.
Who can get that into the right spot, and also with everything that's going on right now, we want to make sure we're following the grocery store's protocols, that we aren't accepting reusable bags back. We've been able to get a lot of the reusable bags either purchased or donated, and those make the distribution a lot easier. We're using plastic bags initially, and just like, they aren't the most durable.
Right.
And when you're trying to put 15 pounds or so of food in each bag to make it even, those things ripped, and it was hard for the volunteers to get them to feel like they could get that out there. So, but your point about perishable items, I think with the money that's been donated, that's something, and Matt had mentioned that the other day, that if we could get that on the early morning of when we're going to distribute, and then we have it right there, or have a specific day or a time when we're going to have a perishable supply. So, for example, yesterday with our distribution, we had a large quantity of produce.
That's great.
We had some that we'd been able to get from Riverbend Food Bank, and then there was an overabundance from the school district. So they had extra because what they had gotten didn't quite fill. They didn't have quite as many families as they had expected, which that was another great collaboration. We had 120 frozen chickens to give out yesterday.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And but then we had apples, oranges, bananas. In addition, we were able to take some of that fresh produce and we gave it for some of the meals that went out on Wednesdays. On Wednesday. And so it allowed us to add to what we're giving. So that's one of the almost logistical nightmares. And there's not really a course on how to manage a food pantry.
Right. Well, and especially when there's so many different entities and individuals that are passionate about making a difference, to try and get everybody on the same page. I mean, I gave like 400 plastic bags to Jeff Keefe the other day for the Riverbend, food pantry for the school district. But I think it's so great to hear this circle that you keep referencing is everybody helping each other. And every organization, Salvation Army, United Way, MCSA, Muscatine Community School District, you alluded to Wilton and Durant, like, we're all, at the end of the day, we just don't want people to go hungry.
Right.
I think that's the only goal is that people are fed, and how do we feed them in the most efficient way, in the safest way, and if we have to get to them, how do we go about doing that? And that's when I have conversations with Nicole Sorgenfrey, and she tells me how many volunteers it takes to deliver, and the protocols that they put in place with screening people. I mean, it's astonishing to hear. Because you would assume that for some to volunteer to have to go through that, getting a temperature check and practicing social distancing, and that might turn some away. But if anything, it seems like people are are digging in even more to help. And that really speaks volumes about Muscatine County, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that everybody is willing to work well together, and it's unprecedented, so nobody's had to do it before.
Right.
So we're kind of having to rewrite the
Yeah.
rules all the time, I imagine. But that has to give you a good sense
Well, I think
that everybody
there's
can go, okay, let's get this done.
Yeah,
let's try and solve this.
Huge shout out to Marie Frankie, who's our volunteer coordinator,
awesome.
and she came on I think last year during the fireworks sale, and I've only been at MCSA since January, and so I'm a new employee still, and trying to learn a little bit more about the organization. But in terms of what we do, what MCSA does, and I mean, we couldn't do without volunteers.
Right.
But now with this coming up, to keep everybody safe, the board made a decision that anyone over 60 who was in that more susceptible range, and I'm closing in on that, so it made me a little nervous. But so that was our huge volunteer base. So anyone over 60, we asked them to take break from volunteering. So then we were sort of scrambling. Who do we get?
Right.
And that has been our really our go-to people, and I hope everybody out there who has volunteered and we know we're thinking about you, and hope you're being okay.
I just can't even imagine. And I feel like when Scott was here, I mean, obviously things are amplified with the food pantry and at MCSA, but I always try to remind folks about this incredible place called the MCSA Domestic Violence Shelter that is very much still in operation and taking care of women and children. And unfortunately, given the nature of pandemic and people spending a lot of time together, you'll see probably a rise in domestic violence. And it's unfortunate, it really is, and it's a tough thing to talk about and for people to hear, but it's just one of those places that I don't want to get, and I don't think they've been lost in the shuffle, I don't mean that, but certainly Judy and the team have not had a slowdown in what they're able to do. So keep the domestic violence shelter in mind, when you're out getting supplies, if you can, donate something. What do you think will be, Nora, like the new normal or the new resting heart rate? Because it doesn't seem like you said it early that maybe there's been a little dip, but the needs are still there, right? Folks are still needing things. Do you think it'll level off as we progress, or?
We don't really know, and we're going to have some discussions next week. I mean, it's not anything that we haven't already been thinking about, trying to figure out, what are we going to go back to, or what are we going to, the thing that I do believe is this gives us a real opportunity to take a look at what we have been doing and what is a better way of doing it. So that's one piece of it. We have received some recommendations from the food bank. I think it's Michelle Bach is her name, or Book. She's president of the Iowa Food Bank.
Awesome.
And she was on the Iowa Press Citizen, or the Iowa Press show a couple weeks ago, and expects a lot of this to really stay increased for a long period of time. What our practices are going to be, I think we're still going to certainly consult with public health and see, what they're recommending for bringing people possibly back into the building, and getting back to a more typical pantry.
Sure.
What you said earlier about choice, I think what that does, and I don't know that people quite understand, but just like you going to a grocery store and being able to decide, well, do I want peanut butter or do I want to get a box of macaroni?
Right.
What is my family going to eat? And that's a lot of what our pantry, and I think Salvation Army has also switched to a choice pantry previous to this. But right now, unfortunately, trying to bag the typical things that people would use. The other thing I think that we have been doing too is that has shown up with this is that Kim Slegman from the Diabetes Project has been helping as a volunteer, but she was seeing a lot of the products that we were getting out, and really in her heart wanted to try to provide healthier options. So we do have about 70 people who have self-identified as having diabetes that we're giving bags out to, as well as the meals are going to. In addition, we have some folks that have food allergies.
Sure.
So, as you said, we don't want to do something that's not safe. But we aren't doctors or dietitians, and we're trying to do the best we can that way. So that going forward is something, how do we provide healthier options for some of those folks, which the items that we're getting from you, from Fairway, we've got a lot of donated items from Aldi. It just, some of those things are really quick and convenient, and we want people to be fed, but it's also like, what are we doing for, that healthier option? So again, getting back to perishable items, how can we provide some of those kinds of things and do a better job at that? So that's some of the stuff that we'd like to do. I mean, look at, instead of vegetables, look at a low sodium option. Is that price the same? Or could we encourage people to have that in, the bags even that you guys are putting together? So that's something that if we had a standard of things that were just healthier no matter what, then that, I think, is one of the things we need to kind of look at. But
makes total sense, though. And Kim, obviously super passionate and very upset. I know that, she had to not have the diabetes walk this year. And that's something that I've emceed for, 6 or 7 years. And it's weird to not have had it. And I'm here to tell you that Kim would always be the first person when I would be promoting like a burger and unlimited fry thing in this restaurant.
Yes.
Kim would comment, what about unlimited fruit?
I'm sure she would. I
always said, that's fine, or vegetables or whatever. So I totally could appreciate her concern. And you're talking about, you said 70 people have said, hey, I really appreciate the help, but I'm diabetic. And folks in need should be able to say that confidently. We shouldn't have to, someone in need shouldn't have to pass a rigorous series of like, well, if you have an underlying health condition or dietary restriction, we can't help you. And I think that's an excellent point and something to consider if you're watching and you want to know how you can help. And ultimately, there's, when Charla Schaefer was here, and they're still taking money and matching donations with the Community Foundation. And I always jokingly say, if you're watching and you got too much money, you don't know what to do with, there's people that can help and point you in the right direction. And you could come in and leverage dollars to buy fresh produce or look at lower sodium options. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that I really don't think a lot about with respects to where, because sometimes we don't think about the journey of the food that we're donating. And this is a bad example, but I have a prop in front of me. So if you bought something tangible and you take it to a place like an MCSA or Salvation Army, is it the best use of the resources that you use to purchase it?
And it makes you, it does. It makes you feel good. You're giving something to somebody, as opposed to, and we try to talk to folks that, your $5 I can leverage into 20, based on either donations or, using it at the grocery stores, or we still have good access to Riverbend Food Bank, and we still have a good supply of items that are coming in from them.
Good.
Some of the variety may not be there, but we're trying to focus on more nourishing foods so that we aren't buying, Gardettos and a bunch of crackers.
What's wrong with Gardettos,
Nothing,
Nora? I love
nothing
Gardettos.
with a movie. Yeah,
they have
I
the bag
too.
of just the right chips. They're
do.
the best thing
those,
ever.
Me too.
Aren't
I
they?
love those things.
Who thought of that idea?
I know.
But I know what you're saying. You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
The point is, of course, if you're shopping for yourself and you're gathering items, it's okay to go more healthy.
Yeah.
Or gluten-free even.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, if you think, or if you're, if you're so nice and you're watching, you could call and talk to somebody like Nora and say, hey, you know what, give me a list of items that somebody with dietary restrictions needs.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Imagine how impactful that could be to that person.
Yeah, and I think Kim has on her Facebook page or website on the Diabetes Project. And we worked with her with coming up with a list of better, healthier options to donate. So anything with higher fiber, a little bit fewer sugar. Just think about it. But the thing that it goes back to again is choice. And what is it that is going to, give people that dignity to say, whether, they come to a food pantry and they feel like they aren't looked down on, or that they're more prideful and they don't want to ask for help. And I'm here to say it's like, it's okay. We aren't going to ask you a lot of income questions. We're going to ask you for your name and your how many are in your family. And typically the MCSA food pantry gets a lot of folks from the downtown, a lot of people who are walking up. But we do have some pretty large families. Yeah. And I can every day I go to bed and I can see their faces and I can I know their names.
It's powerful. Yeah. And folks like Scott Dahlke and Lieutenant Bach and Charla and yourself have always been there to help and do the right thing, and volunteers are always needed, resources are always needed. And the thing that's been so fascinating to me to learn during this pandemic is that the first timers that didn't know where to go, didn't know the resources that existed, and the fact that we're able to meet their needs. And I don't know if it was Scott or Greg that were saying that there was a lady who almost felt bad, but she just needed, and it was just a small need that this individual had, but they were able to meet it, and she was so grateful. And those are a lot of the stories that are probably going to surface now more than ever, are folks that were kind of getting by, but then, if you go without work for a week or two or three, it's okay to lean on the community to help. But that's fine, and I just hope they understand that.
Yeah, the first week or so, and there's a woman who came in, and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and she's like, I just got laid off, and she's like, I'm not sure, and you just see it in her eyes, and that was before we were, using a lot of masks and some of that kind of stuff, and it's still, it makes me remember that everybody's new, and you can't make assumptions about folks or that they know what to do. And so we try to be really conscious of that. And, the cool thing with all this is that, the volunteers have gotten some really good experience. We've expanded our volunteer base, but we are starting to see, as people are going back to work, who we're going to be able to have as a volunteer, and what that's going to look like is going to be different over the next few weeks and months, and we've got to kind of think through that and see where that goes.
Volunteers needed. Let's just put it out there.
Probably.
Volunteers needed. You can make a difference if you're watching.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you for being here and taking the time. I know that it's been busy. Oh, we want in order to do what's in the box? Okay. Are you up for this?
What is in the box?
Have you ever done this?
No, I haven't.
Do you know what this is? Okay,
I don't. I'm sorry.
So I feel like it's kind of sticking out of the side, so I'm going to push it in. So this is the Toyota Muscatine What's in the Box. Nora Dwyer, you're going to put your hands in here, and you're going to try and guess what it is. You have to close your eyes. And then as you put your hands in, we're going to have you push the doors open so the folks at home can see.
Oh, they can see what's in the box?
They can see, but you're not going to be able to see.
Why didn't Pam have to do
this? I forgot, okay? I'm really
so,
bad at remembering to have guests do it.
Okay.
All right, so this is Toyota Muscatine What's in the Box. So hands in both sides.
Oh, in both sides.
So kind of like this, and then you're going to push the doors open, and I'll help get the doors open.
Okay, how do I push the doors open?
Okay, so there we go.
Okay.
We've got it. And it's
so it's kind of a little stuffed animal.
Yes, don't look at the screen.
I'm not.
You keep guessing. Okay.
It's not a horse. It's a little zebra.
That's pretty good. Take a look. It's a tiger.
Oh, it's a
That's
tiger.
spot on.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, look at that.
There it goes.
Did you ever think you would do What's in the Box?
No.
Look at that.
No, how about that?
Isn't that kind of fun? You nailed it.
It's a cute little tiger.
Look at that. It's a critters. So this has got to be for like a dog to chew up. Oh, yeah. It doesn't have a squeaker thing. What's the deal with dogs always going?
What is the point of this, Tony?
Of the What's in the Box?
Yeah,
it's fun.
Okay.
What do you mean, what's the point? We're limited with our cart cam, so we had to be adaptive. So Toyota Muscatine
really cool.
would have the cart cam.
That's great.
And I'm conscientious
of
really
fun.
Not trying to get people on camera.
Yeah.
So we, what's in the box? Look at that.
Box?
It's a critters.
Amazing. It's really interesting the way you came up with the whole thing. What's in the
box. Isn't that slick?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a game that people play at home with their kids and stuff.
Okay.
And I think Jimmy Fallon was doing it for a while.
Oh, we don't have kids at home, so anymore, so I don't see that kind of stuff.
I think that Rich would
that's
love
really
something
cool.
like
I think you would. I think
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
And they've got me. I keep telling Chris I'm waiting for he's gonna put something in here one day and it's gonna bite you.
I was a little
And,
afraid.
yeah.
I was a little
No,
worried.
we would never.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
you're
You didn't
my
put
guest.
brats in or anything
We're
like
not.
that.
Do you want to try a Busch Light
No.
brat?
I'm okay right
I just
now. It's all
I don't
good.
want you to feel left out.
It's all good.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
again for being here. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks, Tony,
And
for all
everything
you
that you're
do.
doing
Yeah.
is awesome. And please, if
Yeah.
you're watching and you can get involved as a volunteer, or you want to write a check, or you can make a difference, I promise. And
Yes.
it's certainly something that a lot of people have been doing for a long time. But if this current crisis compels you to give, we'll take it.
Yes, we
Right?
will.
We'll
Absolutely,
take it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Community Foundation is the best place to put it.
Yeah, match those
yeah,
dollars. Isn't that
absolutely.
exciting?
Yeah.
All right, let's go CBI Bank and Trust Aisle Cam. And Chris said that there's a round 2 of what's in the box for me. Is that the rumor? Okay. He said he had something, and I hope it's not something that's alive. What am I setting myself up for? All right, so live look outside the store. Look at that CBI Bank and Trust Aisle Cam. Somewhere, Bob Howard is in the distance. Where is Bob Howard? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Bob? Is he in there? I don't know. Maybe. So we're here with you. It's Friday, the 15th of May. That is also a couple of things to tell you. So 15th of May is National Chocolate Chip Day, and Chris has done himself, he has outdone himself. Look at all these different chocolate chips I've got on the set. These are some Hy-Vee milk chocolate baking chips. That is a fond memory I have growing up making chocolate chip cookies with my mom. And then my mom, why do moms do this? You're handing over like the spatula or the mixer, and then you're like, I don't know if you should eat the cookie dough. You might get salmonella. I'm here to tell you, I'm 36 years old. I've had a lot of cookie dough in my life, and I never once got salmonella. But I always thought that was funny that my mom would be like, well, you're not supposed to eat the cookie dough because of the raw eggs. And the more you think about it, it is kind of gross. But now there's edible cookie dough everywhere. All right? How many different edible cookie dough products do we have in this store? So I feel like I was just ahead of my time. So National Chocolate Chip Day. It is Peace Officers Day. Peace Officers Memorial Day. So we recognize any peace officers. And it was Chief Deputy Ardith Slight that was here yesterday that also kind of spoke about that as well. Today is Pizza Party Day. Are you going to have a pizza party? I think you could put a Busch Light brat on a pizza, and it's good. These are crazy good. Who would have thought? Busch Light brat, right? What are they going to think of next? I don't know. Tito's vodka brat? Maybe. How about that? Isn't that wild? I love being surprised. Captain John coming in hot with the brats. That's excellent. May 15th, also Endangered Species Day. Dinosaurs. Not only are they endangered, they're extinct. And it's probably a good thing that we don't have dinosaurs roaming around. And if anybody is out there trying to do real-life Jurassic Park, just stop it. We don't need you to bring back dinosaurs. Nobody's missing a T-Rex or a Velociraptor. Because then we're going to have to call Jeff Goldblum and we're going to have to figure this whole thing out. But, please don't try and, get some DNA from a dinosaur that was, fossilized amber. Don't bring us a dinosaur. We are good. We do not need any dinosaurs. I mean, it would be kind of cool, but then they'd definitely eat us. And that's not something, I don't want to get eaten by a dinosaur. May 15th, also Defense Transportation Day. Today is NASCAR Day. Shout out to NASCAR drivers. And it is Nylon Stocking Day. But Chris also alluded to the fact that it might be, is it Bike to Work Day? Look at that. So I've got a bike over here. This is cool. I've got a Spider-Man bike. A bike at Hy-Vee. We've got it. Spider-Man. So that's exciting. And then even a little bit more with the endangered species. Got a good-looking National Geographic up here, too. National Geographic, one of those publications that you hope remains. I just ate another piece of the brat. This is a judgment-free zone. Look at that. I don't know if I'll miss any of those bugs when they're gone, will I? I mean, is one of them like the stink bug? I don't feel like I would miss a stink bug. I'm sorry. Stink bugs are weird. They look prehistoric. I had a stink bug in the house the other day, and I was just like, how? How does it get in? Who let the stink bug in? All right? Who did it? All right. Our friend Mary Darnell says good morning. Hello, Mary. Thanks for tuning in. Lori Hardman also watching. And, okay, so round 2, what's in the box? Toyota Muscatine, what's in the box? Is it alive? Chris says no. Okay. Is it a Busch Light Brat? Chris says no. Okay. I am going to open the doors. Ha! Can you guys see what's in the box? What in the world is this? Oh, it's very tall. Oh, there's 2 things. Are there 2 things? Okay. So this thing is very tall. Wow, I have no idea what this is. All right, I feel the handle on it. I'm always trying to face the camera, and I'm realizing how big my wrists are because I can't get a lot of movement. I have no clue. It's got to be some type of like utensil. Am I close? No? Is it a toy? Yep, it's a toy. Okay, so this is a toy. Is it, the box is tall enough that it almost feels like a Barbie box. Is that getting close? No, okay. All right, so that's my guess. And then this is, kind of, okay. This is something that is packaged also, obviously. Is it another toy? Okay. Oh, I don't even, it feels like, we had Silly Putty the other day. I know it's not Silly Putty. Can I have a hint? Oh, is it a Hot Wheels? Kind of. It's a race car. Look at that. NASCAR. Oh, and those are cars too, aren't they? Awesome. Look at that. All right. Good deal. Those Hot Wheels. Those are Hot Wheels right there. So it is NASCAR day. Aren't they doing a NASCAR race this weekend? Isn't that the thing? I think there's a NASCAR race with like no spectators. So that's cool. If you've missed NASCAR, I think it's back. And there's also like a golf thing going on where there's just a couple of professional golfers playing together. So that's kind of cool. All right. That is excellent. I didn't want to ignore this little green plant that we have here, which is literally called a green plant. It does not have one of those goofy names. Look at that. Green plant. Greenemus maximus plantiosus. Bippity boppity boo. Water me, it says. Yeah. Duh. Water me. Right? Not rocket surgery to water a plant. But it says, water me. Whoa, is it bright in here or is it just me? So it doesn't need that much sunlight either. And it says that it might leak. So don't overwater it. Why do we have to break it down? Like, just take it home, give it a little water. It's got a hole in the bottom, so don't hold it above your head or anything silly like that. All right. This one, Mary says, Nora, tell Tony, I like this to give you some of those Nora, Mary wants using the, listen, Simply Soothing antiseptic. These are not going to make it. And how about this for a segue? Our friend Frida Seiko with Simply Soothing on the show Tuesday, talking about how they got into the hand sanitizer business and, of course, bug soother. So Frida will be back. We'll ask Frida what's bugging her on Tuesday, because we're not doing the show Monday because I'm off. So Frida Seiko will be here with Bug Soother on Tuesday. I can't wait to talk to Frida. If you missed it, I just dropped my pen. Oh, no. It's okay. Thanks to Pam Collins, director of the Muscle Public Library, doing curbside at the library. And Pam alluded to the fact that the hope is to get the library open on June 1st, so stay tuned for that. Thank you to Nora Dwyer with the Muscatine Community Food Pantry, located inside MCSA. Nora doing a lot of good work, a lot of people doing good work to try and meet the need. And that's what I'm going to end on. Listen, the Salvation Army, one of those places looking for food. Everybody's working together. The Hawkeye Hauler truck will remain in our parking lot here in Hy-Vee until around like 1 o'clock or so. And then we've got the red kettle. Chad, if you've got that picture, that would be sufficient, I think. We've got the red kettle here. We've got the Hawkeye Hauler truck looking for your support to help feed people, okay? Everybody is just trying to get through this thing. I actually am kind of happy with how that picture turned out. I took that from my car. I had stopped for a moment. I wasn't driving. And then I cropped it a little. So the red kettle will stay here for a couple of days. The Hawkeye Hauler truck will go down to the Salvation Army to be empty, and then it will move to Blaine's Farm and Fleet. It will then cycle back around. That truck, that is Hawk 1. Does it say Hawk 1 or Hawk 2 on it? Does it say Hawk 2? Hawk 2, I think. those Hawkeye trucks literally take the Hawkeye football team where they need to go. And I didn't know that there was a football field painted on the roof. And apparently that was done so that when they're at the away games and they make them park the Hawkeye hauler around the opposing stadiums, you can still see that it's a Hawkeye truck. So you could see it from inside the stadium, which if you know the Tantera and the rigging crew, I like that a lot. Like, oh, you want me to park my Hawkeye truck around the corner? Well, when your people look out over the stadium, they're going to see black and gold. So the touche on them. That's very nice. I like that. So please consider helping out if you can, and just know that there's a lot of people making good efforts to meet the need. Okay, thanks for watching the show. Here at Hy-Vee, Drive Up Donuts going on until 11 a.m. It's 9:39 right now. We're doing it again tomorrow on Saturday. 10% off everything frozen today and tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and we're ready to take care of you with everything you need. Certainly looking ahead to next week, Memorial Day weekend coming up, and we'll talk more about that. So the show will return on Tuesday morning at 8:30, live with Frida Seiko from Simply Soothing and Bug Soother. And until then, I hope you have a great weekend. Please help out, make a difference if you can. You want to volunteer, you want to donate. There's a lot of ways you can get connected in your own community. And we will talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
You're watching Hy-Vee Today with Tony Tone.
Be very, very quiet while hunting wabbits.
We'll do it again tomorrow with more local guests from in and around the Muscatine community.
I'm trying to emote for the play that the alumni are putting on in Wilton this Friday, Saturday.
Questions, comments, know a great guest? Reach out to Hy-Vee Today with Tony Tone on Facebook or via email, hyveetoday@gmail.com.